You matter. You count. You come from realms of unimaginable power and light, and you will return to those realms.
The vast stretches of the unknown, and the unanswered, and the unfinished, still far outstrip our collective comprehension.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Here is your host, Joe Rupe.
Broadcasting from a shack on a hill in the Mossy Creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. This is Lighting the Void. I'm your host, Joe Rupe. We're live on the Fringe FM tonight. It is Wednesday night, May the 27th. It's weird times, man. Weird energy. And Korn is a master mystery school graduate experienced in the psychic arts, Reiki, alternative healing, tarot, psychology, symbolic interpretation, Buddhism, 12-step recovery counseling, cleansing and purification, states of consciousness, shamanic soul counseling, ascension and kundalini, ritual, spellcraft, soulcraft, starseed, spiritual warfare, psychic self-defense, world mythology, hidden history, many ancient dishes, you name it. That's why she's the Occult Priestess. And it's good to have you back. Thanks for coming back on the program.
Happy Woden's Day, Joe.
So I know you were like into the occult and magic and all this stuff before it was cool. And now you see how cool it's becoming. What's that like? You got any thoughts on that? Like, everybody's talking about it. I mean, even Nori and Coast to Coast and all them, they're getting into it now and everything. Back in the day, they used to shy away from it. It used to be one of those things where, oh, we don't want to talk about that. Now it's everywhere. What do you think about that?
Well, that would be their version of the occult, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. I think you don't think it's being accepted more, though, for real?
What I see is the New World Order coming out of every closet, and also Satanists coming out saying, hey, I'm a Satanist, and kind of being proud about it. But all the veils are coming down, and the occult, wouldn't you say, is the last veil. It seems like there's a lot of money in Satanism, Joe.
Is there?
Yeah, and white supremacy and any other kind of hate group has a lot of money behind it because the rich people enjoy these things. They get us to fight among ourselves. And I think that we could say the elites are that big club that we're not a part of. And so is Satanism and just darkness in general.
And you're part of the world. Are you still in California, by the way? Just curious.
Yeah, we had a riot downtown. Well, it wasn't a riot here, but downtown today, a few hours ago, there was protesting, and it was reported on the news, and that happened about 15 minutes away from me. And we're still wearing masks, and we're still basically on lockdown here.
You don't participate in the riots, though, huh? Man.
Or even in protesting. I protested when we were occupying Wall Street, and I learned all I needed to learn about protesting at that point.
Yeah, what's that? Tell me, what'd you learn?
It's futile. It's like going to Rocky Horror Picture Show and yelling at the screen. It literally isn't going to get you anywhere unless you're a social climber. And in fact, in general, I would say you're not going to get anywhere, period. In this world, the way it is morally corrupt at the moment without being a social climber.
Wow. You know what? I believe that. Everybody's in like unrest too. And a third of Americans now show signs of clinical anxiety and depression, according to a census. A third of us are depressed or anxious.
This is a huge mind job, but I warned about this coming, as I always do.
Yeah.
But my point here is that evil's always been here. It will just be exposed more. And what we're seeing here is the exposure, and people from La La Land who were in denial in science sci-fi land, worried about aliens, when they're going to have to worry about where the food is coming from. Very important basic needs of themselves and their families. So this is a very big wake-up call for all the sheeple.
It is pretty trippy, though. I do remember, like, back in the day, you were heavily into conspiracy and parapolitical stuff, and you weren't really backing off of it, no matter what anybody said. I got that, like, Mark Passio vibe from you,
Oh,
Like,
wow. Thank
you know,
you. That's awesome.
you
I
know,
mean,
like,
he's very heavy-handed.
yeah, he's pretty intense, right? Like he's an angry dude and he's passionate, but he has if you listen to what he's saying though, it's like he's got every right to be though. You
Oh,
know,
definitely. That indignant righteousness is definitely pure.
part of these groups where elitism is like the thing. It's all about materialism and elitism and power. That's it.
Yeah,
There's no,
that's right.
there's no sympathy or compassion for anybody. And
No love, even among themselves.
it's hard to believe in something like that, though. There's always like that doubt in the back of our heads, like, nah, there couldn't be people like that out there, you know? Not
Well,
really.
I guess you have to meet them and be around them and feel them, and then you'll know.
Are they all in California?
It seems like it, right?
Yeah.
No, man. I mean, the Midwest is a hotbed for Satanism. And, you know, I don't want to get in trouble, but I would say that Sandy Hook was put off by Satanists. It was pulled off by the CIA and Satanists.
Yeah. What is your view on Mr. Alex Jones, though? What do you think about him?
Well, I've got a soft spot in my heart for Alex because we're both born on the same day, same year. So we're both Aquarius, February 11th, 1974. And so I see what he means, although he doesn't always come across, you know, like a sane human, I suppose. And plus, he's in that Rush Limbaugh yelling category, you know, and you could even say Mark Passio has a bit of that. And that all of that flavor is a preacher. That is a literal preacher. And I wasn't raised on preachers who were yelling, so it doesn't trigger me.
You know, if you guys want to go to like some entertaining stuff, though, you go to the occultpriestess.com, go to the blog. And I'm looking at this blog post that you got that's called, Have You Ever Been Twilight Zoned?
Yeah, because I knew we were entering the Twilight Zone this year, so that was my first blog of 2020.
What is that about? Like, the Twilight Zone, I feel like we're in the Twilight Zone right now. Like we're in an episode of it, you know?
When you're doing or reading a book about magical ritual, the first thing you have to do is create a space between the worlds.
That's right.
And that is traditional in fairy called the Twilight Zone.
Twilight, that's right. Yeah. And matter of fact.
Yeah, so we're actually entering the fourth dimension as a collective more than ever before, which is also the Twilight Zone. That particular blog is about very freakish and positive synchronicities that happened to me through real life and art merging in my experience. And it's fully explained there with music and lyrics and lots of colorful art.
And Kate Bush.
So it's an expression of synchronicity.
And Kate Bush, for sure.
Of course, my favorite, Kate Bush.
Yeah. So like this whole thing, when I went out in downtown Little Rock not too long ago, I hadn't been out, you know, like really just kind of stayed around here. And I didn't realize just how creepy it was, man, out in the world. It is freaking creepy, right? Like at night you go outside and it's dead still. Now, if you get to hang out with somebody, that's cool because you get to like kick it and you're in this like real life Twilight Zone thing. But if you go around and you start like talking to people and trying to mingle like you would in everyday life, it does feel like you're in another dimension for real. It really does.
Yeah, I totally agree. And you know, you and me and many people that listen to your show are natural hermits. So we haven't been as exposed to the crazies as just normal people that have to work and still working their jobs.
Yeah. And it makes me feel guilty too, because everybody's like, I told you, man, it's crazy out here. But you know, you live on another planet. I'm like, no, like I'm on this planet. My dad says the same thing to me. I'm on this planet. I just don't go around anymore. It's kind of sad because I want to go places, man. I want to go to the mountains and like Fiji and all these different places. And now I'm thinking, okay, we're not going to get this back until we take this vaccine that's coming out. Everybody knows it's coming, right? You know it's coming. So.
Oh, I know it's coming. But what hasn't been discussed or philosophized about is what God's going to do about it.
What do you think is going to happen? Tell
Nobody's
us.
talking about that. They're just like what the New World Order is going to do to us. And then if we're going to fight back as humans, that's the other side of the argument. You know, have you got your guns? Have you got your ammo? Are you ready for revolution? All of these things are physical, very visceral, root chakra. And I don't live on that planet, Joe.
You don't? So what are you going to do when all this goes down? Are you going to escape and hide somewhere?
If I had my dream come true, I would be on a farm, that land that I own, a sovereign being, making my own water and food, and having pagan festivals every high season, you know, every time that there's a full moon even.
But I have this idea that everything might just turn out okay, Corin. It could. Not
without a fight. There will be a battle.
There will be a battle.
Have you heard of smart cities and Agenda 21?
You know?
All we can do as individuals is be cool with God and ourselves, you know, heal ourselves.
Word.
When people get together in big groups, there's a group collective that becomes an idiot.
It's like an egregorical idiot.
Yes.
Yeah. Anybody that's ever been to like a concert knows that, right?
Yes. And even a coven of 20 people can get pretty stupid.
How many covens have you been in your lifetime, you think? Like,
just my own.
Just your own? So you haven't been in like covens full of witches or anything?
I visited them, but they're, you know, a lot of them are just people trying to get laid.
You serious?
Oh, definitely. And then in high magic circles, it was people trying to control other people.
So, that's a scary thought. So all of you guys that go out and join covens, just know that's all it's about. It's just people trying to get laid. Good night.
I certainly haven't found any group that I had respected. And that's when I was the head of the pagan community in Cincinnati, Ohio, when I owned the Occult Shop and had my own coven. But we welcomed in all the other covens. One of the covens was Druid, for example.
Yeah.
And tried to commingle, but we found that I was teaching morals and no one else was.
Everyone else was just trying to get laid. That's the sad story, man.
It's really sad because Wicca and paganism promises something magical and beautiful and wonderful to you, right? I think it comes with a lot of fairy glamour, and that stuff is real if you're working the path in a loving way, you know, sincerely.
Well, that's cool. That's cool to hear you say that. Even like the mysteries have been corrupted. Everything's been corrupted, Corin. Like everything.
Yeah, it's the Lament of Hermes. If people want to look up the Lament of Hermes, he did a prophetic speech, and he speaks about life, death being more profitable than life, and how we would come to this point as a world, not just America, but as a world. And he was right. And we're definitely here. But, you know, Joe, we've been here for a long time. This is just the time when the collective gets it. The collective becomes the conspiracy theorist.
Man, that is sad. Death is more profitable than life. If we're at that state, then we got to change something. That's for sure. Like now.
Well, you know, there's that whole royal we thing. We got to change it. And that's the warrior in you. And I respect that warrior who's going to stand up for his neighborhood, even the entire neighborhood. But you literally cannot stand up for the world. You're one person. I'm sorry that you're not Hercules. We would love that. But you know, there's a lot of people out there that might actually hurt themselves trying to fight the New World Order when it's just a kitten trying to get out of a bag, man.
I don't know. You every time you come on here, you give me this really like this feeling of like we're on the edge of the apocalypse. But you know what? I mean, look around. I don't think anything is not showing that. I feel like this whole COVID thing is a setup. I mean, I'm going to say it. Like I don't care what anybody on the station says or what anybody out there says. Like, this is all a big setup for power and money. It's what it is. It's too obvious.
I'm not going to argue with you.
Have you talked to Freeman lately? Have you had a chance to talk to him?
I did talk. Yeah, believe me. I was like, Freeman Fly, what's going on? So I cornered Freeman Fly on the phone. And he was, so this was a few weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. And I did tweet about it at occultpriestess.com. But of course, you can just follow Freeman at freemantv.com or Freeman TV. He said that he was more concerned about what was going on in our skies. He's concerned about the comets and also the net that's going up, the transhumanism net to track us all, Elon Musk's work, basically, all of that. So he's got his eyes to the sky.
Well, that's a good thing, because we were talking about that a long time ago, man. These grids they're putting up, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. The amount of satellites
living in
we're
LA,
about to have.
I actually get to see them going up often, way too often. You know what I mean? It's unnerving.
Like, do you remember the time, I think it was sometime last year, or even it was like China and Japan, they were even talking about putting up like billboards in the sky, like the space, so we could all see their advertisements in our night sky. I mean, how crappy of a world would that be, right?
Yeah, extremely crappy. It's Blade Runner on crack.
That's where we're headed, though. Seriously, there's going to be more satellites. I think it was going to be like 46,000 or something satellites in the night sky. 46,000. That's only the ones that they're telling us about, that they're letting these open companies bid on for internet stuff. It's not the military ones. It's not the secret stuff.
Right.
It's
DARPA.
It's not the weapons. I'm going to say something kind of weird here, but like there literally could be a war going on behind the scenes right now. We don't even see. Like this isn't like 1930s where everybody's going to put their helmets on and go shoot each other. The wars that happen now are way more behind the scenes, way more technological, way more covert. Unfortunately, the citizens are always going to be the ones that get the worst of it, you know?
Yeah, because I believe it's blood sacrifice of war to their god. What does Alex Jones call it? Moloch.
Moloch. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. I don't know. I think he's I don't know, Corin. You do respect that I don't know, right? Like, I don't know if that's true or not. Of course.
Why should you know? You're still in the wonderment of it all.
Yeah, I still like life, actually. I'm not ready to die yet, you know? But I can see where a lot of us have lost that passion to fight and die for things that we love and care about. I mean, they've totally done that to us. So right now we're only fighting for things that we need for like basic survival. But back in the day, as humans, we used to fight for sovereignty and freedom and liberty. You know?
Yeah, it's almost like we were a different species. I mean, when I look at old movies and stuff.
Yeah.
But when I look at humanity, I see their addictions. I see their personal problems that they're not dealing with. And we could say that personal issue is becoming the New World Order monster beast system.
Yeah. Yeah.
As magical thinkers, we could say that.
So before we go to their first break, like, the daily, I'm sure people wonder this, like daily stuff. What does Corin do daily? Do you meditate? Do you do Buddhist stuff? Do you have your own blend of magic that you do daily? Or what do you do?
I haven't. The last time I did magic was early February, where I took the magazine for the Conscious Life Expo that had Russell Brand's signature on it and his picture and a bunch of other shills, and I put it on my altar. And it was only a couple weeks after that, everyone was locked down, and I haven't let it leave the altar. So it's very interesting that I might have kicked off the New World Order just by doing that. So I giggle at myself with that.
I thought you loved Russell Brand. You say he's a shill now? I thought you liked him.
I always said he was a shill.
Oh, okay.
I was always after him. So, Hermes is a trickster. Don't think I fall too far behind that apple tree.
You know what you ought to do? You ought to do a magic ritual to get Russell Brand to give you a call. That's what you
No,
want to
that's
do.
okay. I understand everything that's going on with him. I just needed to figure it out. I'm done. And that's why I put it on the altar like, God, this was my mission. I'm completed, and here you go. Do your worst. Because I'm not the goddess of justice. The goddess of justice is. She does what she needs to do. But I just thought it was interesting that the whole world changed after I did that, and I hadn't done ritual in years. And so I'm not really a magical person in the sense that I'm trying to get my egoic whims fulfilled through magic, because you can do that, and that's how we get rich people. But I don't do that because it's immoral. And so I definitely meditate. But the thing is that I'm always in constant conversation with the gods. I've always have that window open. So we call it the conversation that never ends. And it's just a song in my heart that's always there. And I help others, mostly, is what I'm doing. I'm helping others upon their path, and I'm warning everybody about New World Order, where it came from, and what we can do about it.
The NWO. And speaking of justice, we've got to take a commercial break. We'll be right back with the Occult Priestess. Y'all stay with us. The Occult Priestess is here with us, Corin. And Corin, I got to tell you, though, you made me feel kind of bad, because sometimes I do magic rituals for money. I want to be rich.
You're allowed to do that. You're not me. I'm not telling you you're wrong or bad. I mean, where did I say that? I just said I don't do it, and I don't teach it.
You know that song, right? Everybody wants to be rich.
Oh, but Joe, don't you understand, with your lifestyle right now, living the way that you do, you're already richer than most people. Most people are going to have to worry about where their food is coming from, where their water is coming from. Very basic needs, dude. You're rich on a mountaintop.
Not if they just pick up and come out here. We can all live together. So,
but we were talking about going back to nature. That was the topic, and that you're already there, and we just need to meet you there.
Well, make sure you bring your mosquito repellent and off and any citronella candles that you have. What's a natural?
Well, that's a bit of cognitive dissonance. We would grow herbs that we would make into oils to put on our bodies. We wouldn't buy it from the man.
I was just going to ask you, what is the witchy way to do that? That's the perfect oil?
Everything you can find in a pharmaceutical place, you're going to find in nature. It came from nature first, and then it went to the lab, and the mad scientists got a hold of it. The thing about herbs is you need to use them in concentration. You can't just use a little bit of lavender and think it's going to do the trick. And these are the lost arts of alchemy and paganism that we've lost through all of these genocides.
Is there anything about our history that's good, that you think is good? That's good and beautiful?
I remember being in Greece and being a frolicking, beautiful maiden. I loved that time. And before that in Egypt, and also the Hindu traditions. If you read their stories of the far ancient past where they frolicked in a heaven-like world, there's many stories like that.
Hindu's religion's pretty cool. I will admit that.
They're pretty cosmic. I think they're the most cosmic that we've had. And that, as I study alchemy and hermetics and the ancient Greek tradition, which is our Western mysticism, as I study that, I just keep finding the Hindu. And I'm like, oh my gosh, did we totally just steal this?
Yeah, we did, actually. So they integrated the Kabbalah with the chakra system, and that's about it. So you could use just about every caste or god system you want to on the Tree of Life.
That's Abrahamic mixing with the Egyptian. And you may argue with me. Anybody can argue with me because I have no evidential proof. I only know my past lives. That the Abrahamics actually attacked the Egyptians and murdered the Egyptians and stole their magic. I was shown that we did not have slaves. They were not Abrahamic slaves. We took them in under our wing and we taught them the ways, because that's what you do with strangers. You teach them the way because they came to you. And so, yeah, that's where we lost our tradition, and then it became something like Kabbalah that we have today.
You think so? I want to figure that out. I think everybody wants to figure that out, This is
why we meditate, because that's your one-way ticket to the other side.
Damn. See, I think we're all on the verge of lighting up our star vehicles, our Merkabas. We just need to get there.
Exactly. And I have videos about that, actually. Well, the first one is called Mercurial Alchemy. And these are straight from Hermes, basically, because he wants to teach through the internet and through media.
I feel the 4 become 5, and I'm waiting waiting, waiting, waiting for you to walk down the boulevard and to take me, take me, take me. And there's no conspiracy behind the way to hide me. When life is a two-way street, and I think I'm ready to let you get under my skin. The cars could all collide. The shards of glass won't catch my eye, because you're almost by my side. We're counting down at the green light.
Have you ever questioned the nature of your reality?
This man, this dutiful man, has got this sense of devotion. One look, one touch of a hand could set the spiral in motion.
A record of the delightful piece they're going to play this evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen.
And now the moment we've been waiting for is here. Here he is, the one and only winner of the Gemini Croquet Contest.
I have something to tell you.
And he told me about the dimensions merging. The fourth dimension is the twilight zone, which is what we're entering now. I did a video at the beginning of the year called The Art of War, and it was a prophetic video, and I very rarely do those. But I was telling everyone war is coming. You can watch it. It's about 30 minutes long, and it is my warning to humanity. I did that once before with Fukushima. I warned humanity then.
But no, it's funny that you mentioned that earlier about Twilight, because the front of the book of the Golden Dawn, like Israel Regardie's Golden Dawn book, if you look at it, it just says like the Golden Dawn, and then it's got a sunrise coming over, like a really gold looking sunrise coming over a blue stream of water with a hexagram. But what that really is Twilight. That's what it's showing you.
Interesting. I never thought of it that way before.
And yeah, and even in the Rosicrucian or Golden Dawn rituals, they say that, like, what's one of the mysteries, and one of the officers will say Twilight. It's like it's real Egyptian.
I love that mystery.
Yeah, it's totally Egyptian. But yeah, go ahead.
You have to clean out the subconscious in order to get into the pure twilight. Most magicians nowadays are going back to abusive childhood circles in their subconscious, where they have demons, they've got ancestors and people that abused them when they were a child, and recordings of abuse as well. So they've got all of this horror going on in their subconscious. And I argue that you can't do loving practical magic from a space like that. that you need to heal the subconscious, which allows you to get into the fourth dimension clean, away from demons and or aliens.
But now, what do you think about Trump, though? I hear her tell that he's been catching some of these folk.
Right, because the Q people are saying that, this is the report going on from the Q people, that President Trump is here to get rid of the deep state and to expose the child sex predators among the elite. And Q is a cult now. If everybody must agree with that, they have followers and they're all thinking the same thing. It's a group mind, and it is also really steeped in apocryphal Christianity. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it does seem that way. But who's going to be the new Antichrist, do you think? Who's going to be the savior?
I mean,
Bill
he's
Gates?
got all these sixes everywhere. Bill Gates is playing the 666 game like a child.
It gets kind of confusing because in the Kabbalistic lore, 666 is the number of the sun. It's actually the Christ-like being. Hello.
And 6 in numerology is Venus or Aphrodite.
Yeah.
And the female is always demonized in the Abrahamic.
So what if it's just a bunch of disinfo, right?
Well, I think most of it is. One famous CIA guy said, when what most of Americans believe is a lie, we know we've succeeded. This is the operation of confusion. This is the chaos of Eris. This is the golden apple of the now, for real. Our lives will never be the same.
You're starting to scare me, Cora. But you know
Does
what?
the truth scare you, or do I scare you?
You scare me a little bit, just to be honest with you. You scare me slightly. And see, this is something
well, it's
like...
part of my job to know the future as a psychic counselor. I need to know what's coming up.
Can you tell me my future?
And I learned that in my childhood, that I needed to know if I was going to get hit. I needed to know if I was going to be attacked because I had an abusive childhood, an abusive household. So I'm still just the warning signal for mankind. Really, that's how I feel. I'm not fear-mongering. This is happening. And that's what I predicted at the beginning of this year with the help of Hermes, my spirit guide. He said, this is the year everyone gets their they live glasses. We will no longer be operating on faith. The loss of faith, because people will know evil is real. It will be right in front of them, and they will not be able to deny it. Willful ignorance isn't going to be excused. So I was sat down and told this very seriously before 2020, so everyone can see that evil exists. Other people who study the light, you come up against evil because they're attacking you because you're studying the light. So even somebody who's just studying the occult, trying to look for God, has been attacked and understands what I'm saying.
I was about to call you the siren, actually, and then I heard a siren go off in the background. It's kind of synchronistic.
Well, my pagan name is Banshee. So, whale, motherfucker, whale.
We just time warped, Cor. You and I did.
How did that happen?
We just time warped. Totally time warped. Right?
Well, that's also in my videos on YouTube. I totally talk about the time warp in the Twilight Zone.
Really?
Yes, I literally do.
Why don't you talk to us about it? You're here now, though. Do we have to go watch the videos?
Because when I'm doing videos, it's all very expressive from my inner soul. And when I am a personality here in this body talking to you, I'm much more human. So I can't express all the abstractness through just voice.
That's terrible. I can.
People get lost in my thoughts, and I can't get them out, and I have to put them over to the side. Basically, I go too fast, and there's too much information. So I try to keep it slow and on the down low. I'll go for it. The fourth dimension is where the dead people exist, and we are now in a very intense bloodline war between good and evil. In the Christian tradition, we can say that everyone was brought here to the earth to find out the lesson of the apple. The lesson of the apple is the lesson of good versus evil, and to be able to discern good from evil before you graduate this plane of third dimension earth. Well, guess what? Everybody's graduating because we're going to the fourth dimension, and that's where the ancestors are, dead people are, and maybe some people who are listening are also there too. If you have a very negative subconscious, if you're extremely traumatized and you hear very negative voices of the dead and you're depressed all the time, you have a very, very difficult life, it's possible that your soul right now is in what we call the bardo. We call
God. The bardo thing's got to be real. It's got to be.
It's coming to Earth. The dead are coming to Earth. But this is the thing that nobody knows and nobody talks about. Occult Priestess knows and we'll talk about. If you have a ghost body or a pain body from a past life that is still suffering in the bardo, and a physical body here now that you call Bob or whatever, that ghost self is going to get stuck into the personality that we know as Bob, which means, so they call it the judgment. And the way that the Christians visualize the judgment is that the dead would come back to life, like the end of Ghostbusters, first movie.
That's crazy.
But that's not true. The dead are coming back to consciousness, just like the Egyptians have done for generations and lifetimes. We always come back because we are the Ankh, we are the immortal. We come back in consciousness. We realize ourselves. And that's also called enlightenment. However, when the ghost pain body self gets stuffed back into the body, you're going to have a very psychotic person. And it could be that this one person is also their great, great, great Aunt Margaret from France hundreds of years ago, who is completely confused being on this plane and in a body all of a sudden. This is the dimensions merging. But if your soul is in heaven, as above, so below, if your state of the soul is heaven-like, then you're going to be fine here too. You're not going to get all these ghosts stuffed into your body because you've already done your soul retrieval. You're of one mind with love and God. It's called a soul retrieval in shamanic language, which is when we have very traumatic lives or we choose evil in a lifetime and we keep choosing it lifetime after lifetime, our soul light deteriorates and we can no longer vibrate high enough to get to heaven. So we have less soul light, therefore less vibration, therefore stuck in the bardo or the Christian hell with the dead people, ancestors, people that couldn't make it to heaven. Now that realm is worked on by light workers, by the Buddhists who are up in mountains chanting all the time. They have very special things to help people as souls in the bardo to get to heaven. And even before someone, right before they die, we read them the Tibetan Book of the Dead to get their soul past the bardo. Now, I had sleep paralysis when I was a little girl. Every night during sleep paralysis, I was in the bardo. I had to get past the fourth dimension of hell to get into the upper heaven realms so that my soul could heal, so that I could come back and be a little girl again and have this experience. So I've been all up and down the stairs, so to speak, chutes and ladders, and I understand how it all works. And I believe in the coming years, we're all going to understand this metaphysical reality as it starts happening to us.
And that totally makes sense with the astrology too. Like there's a lot of people being asked right now to move into this amazing new existence according to the 700-year cycles of things.
The ascension, the rapture. Mm-hmm.
Like it's this amazing new existence that they're being pulled to, but they're also kind of like being dragged. There's things that are kind of like trying to hold them back and drag them back into the old world too. So,
but then there's the difference between the Übermensch, Superman of Nazi Germany, of Nietzsche, and Buddhism, where you have actual enlightenment of the soul.
And she's been talking about some trippy stuff. The third time the bardo has been mentioned on this show. Number 3. That the dead are coming alive, the apocalypse is happening, and I kind of believe it. If you go outside, it's like the Twilight Zone out there. You are starting to trip me out a little bit, Cora, just a little bit, by what you're saying. And although I find it pretty cool, though, that I do know that some of us are like going through these big-time initiations right now, that should make you happy. Like if you're starting to feel love that you've never felt before in your life, or understanding love and compassion that you've never had before, I mean, that's kind of like a Buddhist thing, right? Isn't that what the Buddhists understood after suffering? They understood what love and compassion was all about.
Yeah, any properly alchemizing religion or spiritual law will take you through to self-compassion. Going back to the apple lesson of Christianity, the apple lesson of good versus evil, what we're dealing with right now is what I call Persephone's lesson. And her lesson is within the pomegranate. And I do have videos about the apple and the pomegranate. But the pomegranate, when you open it up, you see that it's all divided. Every seed is away from each other, and it almost could look like a chaotic mess. And you open an apple, and everything is uniform and ordered and beautiful. So what we're right now as a collective, we are separated, not just social distancing. You could say that was a symptom that of a mental illness that the world has that presented as social distancing and mask wearing. Persephone, who is the goddess I was in a past life, believe it or not, she is a core aspect of my soul. And she is the goddess basically of Halloween and spring. Now,
Wow.
Halloween is mask wearing. It is to put on a front. Now, we used to wear the masks, and the story goes that we dressed up for Halloween to scare away dead people and to scare away demons and spooky, frightening things because we knew the veil was thin. So we dressed up like one of them so that we were not attacked by them. And then we can see this theme playing out in our life right now. In fact, the Persephone theme is huge right now. Some people are being rescued by Hermes or the Psyche from Hades, which is the story of Persephone's soul, and many maidens throughout lifetimes. So understand Persephone's story is an archetypal story, but it's also one that we experience as people, boy or girl.
It's like the hero's journey of the feminine energy, maybe? Is that what it is?
Most definitely. Well, it doesn't even, because we're hermaphroditic in our mind. We're masculine and feminine, left brain, right brain, the Tao. Everything in this dualistic third dimensional world is going to be black and white like the chessboard. But now we're hitting the twilight zone, which means the chessboard starts to go a little rainbowy and things are going to get a little weird. And it's not just 5G, and it's not just Elon Musk, and it's not just smart cities. This stuff is going to get spiritually interdimensionally weird. I don't know when, but I'm excited about that part.
You know, you were telling me during break, it's like Joseph Campbell times, so he wasn't playing about all that though. This is really like some serious alchemy going on here, huh?
As you called it, it's initiation time. Some of us have graduated and gone through all these initiations, and we're here to help. And we're still going to go through the collective hell of mankind. I do believe that history is a hell that we all need to wake up from. We've been under the yoke of tyranny for generations, our parents, and all of that. So the freedom and sovereignty is about our souls, really. All of the politics and the things that we can see on the news are symptoms of what's actually going on in the hell realm or the bardo or the fourth dimension. It's a spiritual war, and it's a bloodline war. I don't really talk about this much, but I am the grandniece of Senator and astronaut John Glenn. And I do believe being related to him gave me keys to open doors that other people couldn't in the astral planes. And I understand a lot more about our space programs and how LSD was used and how psyops are used to scare the sheeple into whatever little box they want us in. And right now it's the Agenda 21 box that they want us in. It's Eris's apple of chaos and discord. So again, back to the Greek, she had a golden apple, and she said, whoever is the most beautiful, whoever chooses who was that? Somebody chose that poor guy. Do you remember the story?
Of the what? The Eris
He had to
story?
choose the most beautiful goddess and give her the apple, but I don't remember who he was. But all the goddesses got pissed and started fighting.
Better.
Well, you'll understand your world more if you understand Greek mythology. And that's what Joseph Campbell would tell you.
You're right. Yeah, there's so much to learn, actually.
But even our schools were created by the United Nations in Theosophy through Alice Bailey. And before that, it was Theosophy with Blavatsky and Crowley teaching everything in the occult, because you can barely pick up a book these days without Crowley all over it.
Everybody
So I
worships
just know
that guy.
that what's good has been inverted. And we are living in an inverted version of reality. And we can call that the upside down, or we can call it the bardo.
That whole notion of union of male and female energy thing is supposed to be like the highest love that you can experience in life, the highest and most sacred form of love that you can physically experience. And it's been turned into a sport. Like it's not sacred whatsoever.
It's in a conquest.
Yeah. And that, my friends, I hate to tell you this, I'm probably going to sound like a complete nutcase when I say this, but that is the beginnings of the downfall of humanity and the biggest and largest ripple effect. There's no sanctuary for real.
Yeah,
and that's the problem.
Is sacred but we still keep casting our pearls among swine. But now it's going to be easier to tell who the swine are. And that's, for the audience, you guys, some people are going to lose friends. Some people are going to lose family members in the sense that you're no longer friends with your family members. I don't mean they're going to die. I mean, you're going to lose them because they're going to be a part of the illusion. And you need to be able to learn how to let go of people who are going to be part of the illusion. I'm not just warning you. I'm telling you to prepare. I'm telling you to get right with yourself so that you become your own best friend and that you don't have to become an order follower like other people.
This was all about not being my genuine and authentic self and trying to live a life that others made me feel like I should live.
Exactly. And how many people are given over to that beast right now?
Yeah. Do you think maybe they're that way because they just haven't figured out how to love themselves yet?
Well, of course.
I don't think they're bad at all. I just think they haven't learned to love themselves. Well,
that's debatable. If you've gotten through 30 years of your life and you're still acting like a 5-year-old, then yeah, you might be evil. The hero's journey is very exciting. And that's what we're all on, regardless of what's going on in the media or the outside world, or even that I have to wear a mask. That's part of my hero's journey. My issue with community in general, since I've been in just about all of them now, I've taste tested all the communities, and nobody's healed. Everybody's still freaking sick, acting out their childhood problems. And the more popular the person is, the worse they are, because they have so many people around them going, oh yes, you're awesome, we love you. So my problem with community is we're the healthy people that want to be in community. Yeah. So that's why I try to teach 12-step and recovery and healing your inner wounds and reclaiming your inner child and doing all of the magical things that magic's all about. And instead, people get into invoking demons or watching for UFOs, anything to distract the self from the self. And that's the big distraction, which again is that apple of chaos of Eris. It's all a big snipe hunt unless you're hunting for your soul.
There's a lot of people like that. You see,
most of them. That's been my point ever since I came to LA. These people are fakes. So, yeah, I've been watching this war of good and evil since I was a little girl. But now other people are starting to see it. And I'm trying to explain the ins and outs and the mechanics of the universe and why it works the way it does. We're in the Kali Yuga. Or you could call it the precession of the equinoxes. We're in a very dark space right now as mankind is evolving. We're in the dark. And in the dark, you got to deal with your shit alone. And honestly, I've been in very high planes of consciousness way beyond Earth, or people who even have ever heard of Earth, souls who have ever even heard of Earth. I've been way out there. And the answer that everything beyond the third and fourth dimension is love. Everything. And we're people who remember past lives or are a bit psychic like you and I, Joe, we're going to remember that love and we're going to want it. We're going to Jones for it right here in the Kali Yuga at this time of darkness. But I really believe part of the alchemical process of the now is to be that hermaphrodite within, totally completed within yourself. Yeah. Only then can you attract that perfect opposite mate. in the alchemical equation.
You know?
Well, I would say that's also your feminine spirit guide. Like I have my Hermes, he's masculine. That's your feminine voice. And then, you know, because you've studied Aleister Crowley and other things, that the holy guardian angel is just another word for the term the Buddhists use as the higher self, or the Atman, you know, the perfected you, which lives in heaven. If your consciousness is in heaven, as above, so below. And then I can say that enlightenment versus Übermensch, like I mentioned before, the Übermensch means Superman, and it came from Nietzsche and from German Nazis. And this is all leading into transhumanism. So the Uberman, Overman, Superman is what they're trying to create the human race as a genetically modified species. Now the new story is to mix them with robots, like transhumanism. Every law on the planet that we live on, Earth, is based upon the divine right of kings. Every law is unjust because we have no true kings. And, we need to rise up, and I think that's what God's plan is. I believe that we will rise up because I have seen heaven on earth in visions. I've literally seen it. I'm not the only one. And we get there somehow. So right now we're just reverse engineering the future.
All of this stuff has taught me, I'm still like being very humbled, realizing how much of an ass I've been in my life, and how, but also unaware of certain things that I've done. But like, this love is a higher love, man. It's like a higher, it's a higher love. What I'm trying to explain is like, I'm experiencing things that I did not know existed. You know, you think about it, you hear about it when you read about spirituality, stuff like that. I don't know. Like, I think I can't be the only one that's going through this. And if you feel stuck because of it, I think you're stuck for a reason. I think there's like this door that's in front of you that's saying, you know, this is where you're supposed to go. And then there's like this part of you that wants to hold on to the bardo.
Yeah, in the old ways, in the ego, in all the attachments, it's called attachment. So it's the attachments or addictions that we must heal within ourselves. And getting a counselor like me will bust through that stuff together quickly, now that it is the time to do that.
And we got to get out of here like right now. I want to thank all the patrons for coming on. Go to her website, occultpriestess.com. Also, thank you guys in the Fringe FM chat. The Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable's coming up next.
No one